Every successful accounting firm at some point hits a wall. You're getting bigger, you're bringing in more clients, but it all feels kind of chaotic, right? The real question isn't if you're going to hit that wall, it's how you're going to break through it without completely burning out your team and letting quality slip. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. This is the question that probably keeps you up at night. How do we keep up? If that phrase sounds familiar, it's for a really good reason. It means the way you've always done things has officially hit its limit. You're running faster and faster just to stay in the same place. And let's be crystal clear about something. The problem is not your people. I guarantee they're already giving it their all. The issue is the structure itself. That traditional, we do everything in-house model, well, it just wasn't built for the kind of growth you're experiencing. And eventually, the foundation starts to crack. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to define that accounting growth trap. Then we'll talk about capacity versus capability. From there, we'll explore a smarter operating model, see what outsourcing looks like in the real world, cover how to choose the right partner, and finally, lay out a vision for your future-ready firm. Okay, first up, the accounting growth trap. How do you even know you're in it? Well, usually it feels less like you're building a business and more like you're just running around putting out fires all day long. Just ask yourself, do any of these sound a little too familiar? Are your best managers getting bogged down in routine execution work? Are your review cycles just stretching out longer and longer? Is that dreaded tax season stress now bleeding into, well, pretty much every other month? And that high-value advisory work you really want to be doing, always getting pushed to next quarter? Yeah, these are all giant red flags that you've hit your capacity ceiling. And getting this diagnosis right is absolutely critical, because this is not a keepability problem. Your team is talented. They know their stuff. This is a capacity problem. Their incredible talent is just getting swamped by the sheer volume of work. This slide really breaks it down. See, you can solve a performance issue, a lack of skill, with some training, but you can't train your way out of a structural issue. When there is simply too much work for the system to handle, you don't need more training. You need a whole new operational model. Which brings us right to a smarter way to operate. It's all about strategically blending your team's incredible expertise with outsourcing to finally solve that core structural problem for good. Now, this right here is probably the most important mindset shift in this whole explainer. We are not talking about replacing your talented people, not at all. We're talking about giving them a superpower, a tool to offload all those repetitive, time-sucking tasks so they can finally focus on what they do best: high-level reviews, client strategy, and real advisory work. Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, right? But what does this actually look like in practice? Let's get into some real-world examples that can make an immediate difference. All right, take inventory reconciliation. If you have any clients with a lot of inventory, you know the pain. It's a perfect example of the domino effect. It's this super repetitive, detail-heavy task where just one tiny mistake can throw everything off. The financials, the margins, the tax calculations, it's an absolutely perfect candidate for outsourcing. The moment you outsource this, you go from chaos to clarity. You get consistent processes, way fewer manual errors, and you're always ready for an audit. But the biggest win? Your senior staff are finally freed from the grunt work to focus purely on high-level review and strategy. Here's another hidden bottleneck: tax documentation. I know, it sounds simple, but you and I both know that poorly organized client files can bring your entire workflow to a screeching halt. This is where having a solid process is everything. So when you bring in a partner to manage documentation, you get clean, standardized files every single time. What does that mean? It means your tax pros can jump straight into the actual prep and review instead of wasting hours chasing down missing forms. The result is just faster turnarounds and much, much stronger compliance. Now, another really powerful model is integrating offshore employees. Think of them as a flexible extension of your own team. First, they align with your systems. Second, they handle all those execution-heavy tasks like bookkeeping. And third, and this is a big one, you can scale your capacity up or down whenever you need to. That gives you the power to handle those busy seasons without the massive overhead of hiring locally. And this is where it all comes together beautifully. By outsourcing the foundational stuff, the research, the modeling, you finally create the time and space for proactive tax planning. Your offshore team lays the groundwork, which frees up your partners to have those deep, strategic advisory conversations that clients are more than happy to pay for. Of course, this entire strategy really hinges on one thing: choosing the right partner. This isn't about just finding a service provider. No, this is about finding a true extension of your firm. So, what should you be looking for? Well, there are some non-negotiables, right? They absolutely have to have deep experience with US standards and rock-solid data security. But just as important is clear communication, flexibility in how you work together, and a genuine partnership mindset that's focused on your long-term success, not just their next invoice. So let's bring it all home. Let's really envision what your future-ready firm looks like. It's a practice that isn't just bigger, it's stronger, it's more resilient. But before we get there, let's just tackle the two biggest questions that always come up. This is probably the number one concern for every firm leader, and it's a totally valid one. You've built your reputation on quality, and the idea of handing anything over can be terrifying. But the answer is an emphatic no, and here's why. Your partner handles the execution, the doing, but your firm maintains 100% of the oversight, the final review, and all the strategic decision-making. You never, ever lose control. Okay, the second big concern is always about your people. Will they feel threatened? Is this going to create a morale problem with the amazing team you've worked so hard to build? Honestly, it's the exact opposite. This is about complementing your team, not replacing them. You're taking the most tedious, burnout-inducing work off their plates, which frees them up to focus on the engaging, high-value, client-facing work they were hired for in the first place. It's a huge win for their careers and an even bigger win for the firm. Let's just end on this core idea. Growth should feel intentional. It shouldn't feel exhausting. You shouldn't have to choose between scaling your firm and burning out your team. By changing your operating model, you can build a future that's not just bigger, but so much better. The only real question left is, what's stopping you from building it now?